culture hero, coming to save us all. You never judged us, taught us to stand up tall. Pop culture hero, taught us to be as one. After the prequels, the healing has begun. Walking the thin line between heaven, earth, and hell. Pop culture hero, saving us from ourselves.
To say that Duke Nukem Forever development was a turmoil is kind of an insult to turmoils everywhere. And it kind of was considered to be the end of an era when they announced on, I believe it was Friday, we have a release date. A lot of old school gamers, such as myself, were thinking this was it. This was the end of an era. This was like the one thing. This was like the one thing that we were holding on to since the beginning of the PC industry, the beginning of the gaming industry. It was always that this game was going to be in development, and now it's wrapping up. And it's been one heck of a journey, and I want to take you guys through what my journey was. Now, Duke Nukem Forever's development was first kind of teased around the time of the Plutonium Pack release, the expansion pack for Duke Nukem 3D. Now, Duke Nukem 3D at the time was released in 1996. It was considered to be actually quite a very big, very popular, and very well-known game. The multiplayer alone, which was called Duke Match, was actually considered to be, even to this day, and I'm quoting like Gabe from Penny Arcade and Tycho Gabe from Penny Arcade. I can't remember which said this, but it was one of the two. That Duke matching in Duke Nukem 3D was the most perfectly balanced, most fun experience in multiplayer ever. So what happened? Well, the project leads on Duke Nukem Forever kind of got a bit, how do I put this? They had what was probably sitting on the biggest game of all time, and they realized that if they were going to ship a second game, it would also have to be the biggest game of all time. And because of that, and because of their standards, which had worked for them up to that point, their standards could not live up to what modern gaming landscape was producing. Their original standards, which was quick and dirty, and you produce stuff and you add things and you just keep adding things at the last minute, and then you just keep adding, which was what made Duke Nukem 3D so well polished, and because they had done it like that. There was never a point where they just said stop because of feature creep, management, and the mentality. And the fact that they had millions and millions and millions of dollars from their various, not only from their own, released games, but also from their, from the games that they had produced and had investments in, like Max Payne and Prey. They had millions and millions of dollars to fund them as long as they could see. And the point where they could say stop was like, they got a bit cocky about it. It's like, no, publishers tell us when we stop. We don't have that. We don't have that problem. And they, and that was their mentality about it. And it was unfortunate that they kept that mentality for so many years. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Most of the major footage that anybody ever saw on Duke Nukem Forever had to probably be their 1998 E3 showing.
I was born to rock the world. Damn, I make this look good. close encounter. Always bet on Duke.
Their 1998 E3 showing was actually quite groundbreaking at the time. They had licensed the Quake 2 engine, which they believed to be probably that at that time was pretty a damn good engine for 1998. It had a lot of the features that they had wanted. It had a great multiplayer engine. They were able to bring in a lot of the extra things, and you could actually see in the trailer a lot of what they wanted to do. They were going to try to basically keep Duke Nukem the way that they had wanted, that people had remembered him, but they were going to up the ante a lot, and they were going to do that by introducing a female sidekick. They were going to introduce that by bringing in a to kind of do single player. They were going to realistic environments like Las Vegas, mining towns, the deserts in Nevada. Area 51 was listed in there. Cult mining towns and things like that. We're all going to, of course, also strip clubs. That was all going to be in there, and a lot of that you can see actually in the 1998 demo. There were rail shooter segments. It looked a lot of fun. There were early co-op segments, which are, I should say, AI-controlled co-op segments. A lot of that is in there, and pretty much right after that development, they realized that the technology had just gotten ahead of them. And Unreal was producing, the Unreal technology, the Unreal Engine, which was brand spanking new at the time. The first Unreal Engine started to impress. It had a lot of the multiplayer code that they wanted. It had a lot of the features already in place. So they kind of figured, oh, let's go to Unreal. And actually, that meant that they kind of had to scrap everything that they'd worked on and start all over again. But they figured they only had a one-year investment in that, I guess, and then the rest is history. So they switched to Unreal, and then for about a year, Duke Nukem kind of dropped off the radar. Duke Nukem Forever kind of dropped off the radar. Then, this hit the shore shelves. This is marked December 1999. This is the December 1999 issue of PC Gamer. Duke is on the cover. Duke Nukem Forever is on the cover. In this article, they talk about a lot of the stuff that had happened up to that point. They show some great new screenshots with the Unreal Engine. Some concept art for Bombshell. I hope you guys can see that. That was the original concept art for Bombshell. I can't find that anywhere. That was going to be Duke's sidekick. I don't know if she's still in the game. She hasn't been seen since that screenshot, or I should say since that original concept art. A lot of the stuff actually is in here. It's also funny that I'm seeing all these old ads, and you can even see here a comparison shot of what was going to, what was the difference between the Unreal Engine and the Quake 2 engine. And I'm sure right now, you probably can't see this pretty good, but in a few seconds you're probably going to be seeing concept art or screenshots actually on your screen right now. See, yeah, I was able to pull those from the Internet Archives for you guys. So that's pretty much like what they were working on up to that point. Now they did say that obviously that the delay had caused them about a year delay, but they were still considered to be that they could be on track for about a 2000 or 2001 release. And then right after that article was written, nothing. May 2001. Their website listed, it's like, yeah, no joke, we actually have some Duke Nukem news for you. And they had cut together a trailer for that year's E3 to kind of go with the demonstrations of what was going to be the first Max Payne game, and the Gathering developers guys, who I've talked about here. They were going to be working under their banner at the time. And they wanted to show something for the Gathering developers booth. So there was a Max Payne showing that year, which was quite well received. But there was also the first trailer for Duke Nukem Forever released in 3 years, and it was glorious.
pissed off.
We're all gonna die.
Duke, the situation has deteriorated. It appears they have the president. The Earth Defense Force has been compromised, and I'm afraid you can't trust anyone.
Hey, pal, what are you gonna do? Save the world all by yourself?
You think them sunglasses make you look cool or something?
I mean, I remember seeing this trailer back in 2001 and just being completely blown away. The graphics were fantastic. The theme was perfect. It was cut expertly. And these were just a bunch of guys using, and this was it. It was a great trailer. You got to see the interactivity. You got to see the vending, how the vending machines, all this stuff that they were showing was kind of on the level of what was the first Deus Ex game kind of had. But it looked a lot better. It looked great. It looked a lot better. It looked seamless. It looked fantastic. It looked like a great It was going to be a great game. For me, that actually is always listed. If I ever had a list of top 10 amount of E3 trailers, that has always been my top 10 list. And it still will. Far as I can tell, they restarted working on the project again sometime around 2003. The musings that I had heard along the forums and stuff like that had to have been that they didn't really switch engines, but the Unreal Tournament engine that they were using was kind of giving them, there were some limitations and stuff like that. And plus, by that point, Epic had already released the Unreal 2 engine, which was powering Unreal 2, Unreal Tournament 2003, and Unreal Tournament 2004. It was definitely a top of the line engine at the time. Impressed everybody. There were some things that mentioned static meshes were actually quite nice, and their license did permit them to upgrade to the new engine if they needed it. So I believe what happened is probably something along the lines of they completely tore out the renderer, they rewrote the renderer from scratch for the Unreal Engine. They also kind of added in a lot of the features, some of the features from Unreal 2. All this kind of happened over the course of those 6 years. Don't quote me any of this stuff, because the truth is I'm kind of just picking tidbits out of what I was able to ascertain from following the forums over those years. They really dropped very little information. There was just such little information released over those years that I really can't be quoted as to what was really going on. All I know is that there obviously was a project restart somewhere around 2003. The engine was improved. They tore out pretty much everything. They replaced everything between 2001 and 2003, probably even later than that. Even the textures were changed. They weren't even using the same textures anymore. And that's, of course, what was listed on the IMDb. Wired Magazine had starting around 2000 or maybe 1999, Wired Magazine, or every December, posts up, and they still do to this day, post up their top vaporware of the year. Projects that had been released, or I should say had been announced, but were not releasing, or they had either missed any original release dates, or they had simply just been announced, and people had anticipated that they'd be out by this point, but they didn't ship that year, and they weren't going to ship that year. But if there was one poster child for the Vaporware Awards for those years, up until now, had to have been Duke Nukem. That was pretty much it. Like every year, #1, Duke Nukem, #1, Duke Nukem Forever, #1, Duke Nukem Forever, #1, Duke Nukem. Years and years and years. It got to the point where they had to pull it from the list. He's like, you know what, we're just giving it the Lifetime Achievement Award. It just keeps winning. Projects had, they've been listing other projects like TiVo's HD, or HD TiVo and stuff like that. It's like every year, Duke Nukem Forever, Duke Nukem Forever, Duke Nukem Forever. But finally, they relented. Now, okay, you know what? None of these other things can compete. It'll be Duke Nukem is going to be the lifetime #1 basically at this point. And every year, Duke Nukem, Duke Nukem, Duke Nukem. Even this past year, it was Duke Nukem. It got to the point around 2007 where, interestingly timed enough, 3D Realms actually bothered to release something. They finally, I think it was early December 2007, they released the first Duke Nukem footage, Duke Nukem Forever footage, in 6 years.
Some alien toilet to park my bricks. Who's first?
They showed practically nothing. But there was a promise that there was going to be more seen. There was going to be more coming out. This was going to be the start of something. People by that point had been claiming to see stuff. In 2006, when they showed off Prey to PC Gamer, they did also do a bit of a Duke Nukem showing. Jace Hall got to see a bit of the Duke Nukem showing, but PC Gamer never got to show any screenshots of the demo, and it was always prefaced with, "Yeah, we fucked up." And Jace Hall, right after they released the footage, by the time he posted it up when he started his website and in his series, 3D Realms had kind of thought that he had taped it so long before he actually posted it up, and they kind of said all of that stuff is obsolete. You know, everything that you see there is not going to be in the game because all of it's obsolete. We've improved since then. But 2007 was like the first. You know, that trailer was like the first time we actually got to see. Yes, this is concrete. Yes, this is the game. You got to see Duke. You got to see a few snippets of enemies, and that was about it. And you got to hear the Duke grab bag theme. And then, like, it ended with the preface that there was going to be some more shown. They included 2 screenshots as Easter eggs in Duke Nukem 3D's Xbox Live version, which they later posted on their website. This was probably some of the, the first new screenshots released for Duke Nukem 3D since 1999. So 9 years between screenshot releases. I think by this point, don't get me wrong, the screenshots were phenomenal. Anytime they released something, it was always great. It was, it always set the world on fire pretty much when any minor tidbit got released. But I started doing the idea, I started thinking about it. A lot of people were thinking about it by this point. It's like, could they even sustain this? I mean, could their could their prolonged development sustain this? And I know after the fact, a lot of people were talking about this. Could this method actually be sustained? And on May 8th, 2009, Duke Nukem Forever development ceased. They basically, the financiers, the 3D Realms, just ran out of money. They had been working on the game for too long. They had to continue paying the bills, and then they ran out of money, and then that's the end of it. Can't pay the bills anymore, so they shut it down. About 2 days afterwards, they were sued by their publishers. Now, unfortunately, not a lot of information kind of got released about the lawsuit, so I really can't talk too much about the lawsuit. Right after that, pretty much a lot of stuff just leaked. Screenshots leaked. Storyboards leaked. Synopsis leaked. And I'm not going to post any of that stuff. None of that stuff is going on in this video. But what happened was that you had pretty much a whole staff that had pretty much been working on that game for years who were pretty much out of jobs and had nothing to show for it. So one guy online, who was, I guess, a model or animator or something like that, he had to have some kind of, resume. So he posted his video resume online, which showed a lot of Duke Nukem Forever footage that nobody had seen. Just amazing stuff too, impressive stuff, to kind of sell himself like, this is what I'm working on. And the internet went ape, and I saw this footage and I was thinking, why did they show this? Why didn't they show any of this? If they had showed any of this, because honestly, by the point where they closed off, it's like, it's over, we're closing down, not too many people cared. Like, why did they not show any of this? And then actually, once all this stuff started leaking, people started caring again. It finally got announced that the lawsuit was settled or probably a couple months after the fact. It was almost even a year, probably, after the fact. And then, predictably, they said, the lawsuit settled. I guess it didn't. I don't know if it went to court, but the developer couldn't sue the publisher and vice versa anymore. So, no specifics were going into. They didn't say what happened to Duke Nukem Forever development. They didn't release any content about Duke Nukem Forever. No status updates on the project. No screenshots. No video. No who's working on it. Nothing. And the game pretty much went right back into development. Hush hush. PAX thing came out, it just hit the web on fire. Now, obviously, not too much footage came out of it. There was really very little shown. A lot of people wrote about it, especially a lot of the PAX attendees. Became very popular. A lot of previews came out for that, and that was actually quite impressive. PC Gamer a while ago actually did get to do their own in-depth review of the demo from Gearbox's studios, but they couldn't post any screenshots at all. They were forbidden to post any screenshots. They could only put in court. They brought in a court guy, one of those court artists, to show what was going on. Yeah, and so I think a lot of people were like, "What's going on?" And then, well, we all know what happened Friday.
They used to tell stories of a man who saved the world. A man whose very presence sent aliens running back to their motherships. A man who disappeared without a trace. When the invaders came back, they came back angry. They tore our planet apart, bit by bit. But they made one mistake. They shouldn't have gone after our women.
Damn it. Why do they always take the hot ones? Right in the jewels. Rest in pieces. What? Did you think I was gone forever? Hell, I'd still hit it. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Coochie coochie. Hail to the king, baby.
What about the game, Duke? Was it any good?
Yeah, but after 12 years, it should be.
What can I say? Hail to the king, guys.